Creep night, sure to send a chill down your spine. A bullet rips through the tranquility of my home, shattering the window with a deafening roar that seems to echo through the very foundations of the house. The once peaceful air is now thick with tension, the acid scent of gunpowder mingling with the dust and debris kicked up by the impact. Glass shards, sharp and glistening, rain down like a deadly shower, reflecting the terror that has suddenly invaded my sanctuary. They litter the floor, a treacherous minefield with razor sharp edges. My heart pounds in my chest, a frantic drumbeat echoing the chaos that has erupted around me. Adrenaline surges through my veins, a cold rush that heightens my sense, even as it makes my hands tremble. I can feel the sweat beating on my forehead, clamming grip of fear tightening around my throat. In the sudden silence that follows the gunshot, I can hear my own ragged breathing, harsh and uneven. My eyes dart around the room, searching for the source of the attack. There's nothing, only the shattered window, the gaping hole in my once secure world, and the chilling realization that I am not alone in my own home. There's a gasp that tears my throat. I shoot up in my own bed, sheets tangled around my legs, heart still pounding. The nightmare clings to me, its terror lingering, even as I blink away the sleep-induced shadows. Moonlight streams through the window, casting an eerie glow across the room, and for a moment I can almost imagine glint the glass shards on the floor. Pounding heart, cold sweat, the gasp for air. It always is the same. I pulled upright, in bed disoriented and drenched in fear. My eyes frantically scanned the room, searching for the intruder who had surely shattered my peace. But there was no shattered window, no settered acid scent of gunpowder, only the short rustle of curtains and a gentle hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. Relief washed over me, a wave that left me weak and trembling. It was just a dream, a figment of my overactive imagination. Another nightmare, another night of terror that left me questioning my insanity. Typically, I would have dismissed this sort of dream as a mere unresolved issue lurking within the recesses of my subconscious. However, the persistence of this dream was unsettling. The past 2 weeks it had invaded my sleep at precisely the same hour. Each night, 3 a.m., like clockwork, the pure consistency of this nocturnal vision led me to ponder whether this was a deeper meaning behind it. Perhaps I mused some instinct or force was attempting to communicate with me, to convey a vital message or a dire warning. Or perhaps I was simply just losing my mind. Unable to fall back asleep, I put my feet down on the floor. The cold wood in stark contrast to the warmth of my sheets. I wrapped my robe around me tightly, a futile attempt to ward off the lingering chill of the nightmare. I went into the living room, my bare feet paddling against the wooden floor. Darkness was oppressive, broken only by the dim glow of the streetlight filtering through the curtains. I sat down on my sofa, familiar cushions a small comfort in this disquiet of the night. I reached for the remote and turned on the television. A sudden burst of light and sound, a jarring intrusion in the stillness. I flipped through the channels, the inane chatter and canned laughter, a poor substitute for sleep. But it was indeed a distraction. It was what I needed. I tried to push the nightmare to the back of my mind to focus on the mundane reality of late night television. But the fear lingered, a shadow that refused to be banished by any flickering images on the screen. I knew I wouldn't be able to truly rest until I understood the meaning of the recurring dream. Was it a premonition? A warning? Or simply manifestations of my own anxieties? The questions swirled in my mind as persistent as the nightmare itself, and as the hours ticked by, I knew that I wouldn't find the answers in the flickering light of the television. I'd have to look somewhere else, deeper within myself, to cover the truth behind the terror that haunted my sleep. Hours after pondering this very question of the dream, a wave of exhaustion waved over me. My eyelids grew heavy, and despite my best efforts to stay awake, to come to a deep, deep sleep right there on the sofa, the world around me faded into a blur as I drifted into unconsciousness. Time seemed to slip away as I lay there, enveloped in slumber. The hours passed unnoticeable, and the once bright room gradually darkened as twilight gave way to night. Outside the world continued its rhythm, but within the confines of my living room, all was still and silent. Eventually, all the rays of dawn began to filter through the curtains, casting a soft glow upon the room. As the sun rose higher in the sky, its warmth gently touched my face, arousing me from my deep sleep. I awoke with a start, disoriented and groggy, my mind still clinging to the resonance of the dream. They stretched before me, a black canvas waiting to be filled with the monotony of work. It was a routine I followed countless times, a well-worn path etched into the fabric of my existence. Yet this morning felt amiss. An unsettling sensation gnawed at my gut, a premonition of impending doom that I couldn't shake. My stomach churned, a knot of anxiety tightening with each passing moment. A cold sweat broke out across my brow, and my hands trembled slightly. As I reached for my work clothes, the room seemed to close in on me. The air with its oppressive tension, shadows danced in the corners, casting an eerie pall over the once familiar surroundings. I forced myself to move, going through the motions of my morning ritual with a sense of detachment. Each action felt mechanical, as if I were a puppet on a string controlled by an unseen force. My reflection in the bathroom mirror stared back at me, a hunted look in its eyes. As I buttoned up my work shirt, a wave of nausea washed over me. My breath hitched in my throat, and I stumbled back against the sink, my heart pounding in its chest. The feeling of dread intensified, a suffocating weight pressed down on me. It was as if an unseen hand was squeezing my soul, draining the life from me. A cold dread settled over me, seeping into my bones and chilling my marrow. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat echoing in all chaos that swirled within me. My bones twitched in my throat. Each gasp, a desperate struggle against the suffocation terror that threatened to consume me. I strained to move, to force my legs to carry me towards the sanctuary of my door. They refused to obey. It was as if an unseen force had ensnared me, holding me fast in its icy grip. A sensation of utter helplessness washed over me, amplifying the terror that had already coursed through my veins. My trapped puppet, dangling on the strings of an unseen puppeteer. awaiting the inedible climax of this macabre performance. An unsettling shiver coursed through me, a disquieting sensation that I couldn't readily identify. What is this feeling I'm feeling? I whispered to myself, the words hanging in the air heavily. The answer arrived, but not in a voice, but in the sound that struck me with chilling clarity. It was a sharp, crystalline sound of shattering glass, a catastrophe that echoed through the chambers of my mind, reverberating through the very essence of my being. Each shard of the imaged sound seemed to pierce my consciousness, leaving behind a trail of unease. It was a sound that spoke of brokenness, of disruption in the tranquility I had once known. It rattled my composure, leaving me feeling vulnerable and exposed. The echo of the shattering glass seemed to linger, a haunting reminder of a disturbance that couldn't be ignored. The intentional sensation was a sharp, searing pain that coursed through my entire being. It was so intense, so overwhelming, that it felt as if my very essence was being consumed by a fiery inferno. Then, without warning, my legs gave way beneath me, and I collapsed onto the unforgiving floor. As I lay there, sprawled on the hardwood floor, a wave of numbness washed over me. The pain that had moments ago been so excruciating, now fading into distant memory. It was as if my body had entered a state of suspended animation, where all the sensation was muted and all the thoughts were silent. As I lay there, enveloped by an unexpected tranquility, a chilling realization washed over me. My life was slowly embedding away. The room seemed to fade around me as I drifted in a sea of thoughts and emotions. They say when you are dying, your life flashes before your eyes, a whirlwind of moments, regrets, and joy. Perhaps that's true for some. A final reel of experiences flickering in the mind's eye. But for me, it was different. Instead of a chaotic monotag, I found myself immersed in a profound stillness. The past didn't rush forward, it simply existed as a tapestry, with moments woven into the fabric of my being. Each choice, each laughter filled day, and each filled tear stained night that had shaped me, and now, in the face of death, they held a quiet significance. There was no fear, no desperation, no desperate grasp for what was slipping away, only acceptance. I wasn't angry about the fact that my life was ending. It was more a sense of disbelief. The irony wasn't lost on me. The nightmare I'd spent countless nights dreading, the one that lurked in the shadows of my mind, had finally materialized. It was the universe that had played a cruel joke, allowing me a glimpse into the future I desperately wanted to avoid, only to yank it away when I least expected it. Soft chuckle escaped my lips, a final release of tension before I gently closed my eyes. It was time for the last act. Final bow. Wouldn't call that would mark the end of this chapter. My mind was swirling of emotions, a bittersweet sympathy of memories and anticipation. Then everything went quiet.